welcome back to my channel, Diamonds and Washi. My name is Katie. Today I am here with my weekly WIP and Chat. Though it is a day late, I am still happy to be back. And if you are new, first off, welcome. I'm so glad you're here and hope you enjoyed today's video. And if you're back, as always, welcome back to you too. Like I said, today I'm going to be doing a WIP and Chat. WIP stands for work in progress. In this case, I'm going to be working on a diamond painting. I say in this case as if that's not what I'm doing 99.9% of the time in these videos, but you know. And then chat just means I'm going to be catching up with you today for as long as my voice will allow. 'Tis the season for my children to bring home bugs from school. They tend to get over it in a couple of days. It tends to stick with me for a week, often in the form of just really borking my voice like it apparently has this time. I'm feeling a lot better, but my voice sounds like a frog. So if that's not your cup of tea, I get it. Check out my WIP and Chat playlist for a whole lot more normal sounding videos. But if you like the hoarse, gravelly voice, great. It's the winter season. Hopefully this is one of more than one. So let me tell you what I'm going to be working on and with today. I'm going to be working on this cute little snack size kit from Munimade called Paracutes. I feel like it should be called Paracuties, honestly. The artist is Jessica Maltezo, and it is only 30 by 42 centimeters, and it has round diamonds and has lots of color blocking. It's such a cute little kit. It's really what I was in the mood for after working on that big size-wise and slightly more confetti heavy square drill mystery kit. That was my first project of the year, and this has been right up my alley, right what I needed. As far as accessories, I have this pen from Butterfly Effectwares. The color palette seemed to match really well, and it's one of my favorites from their shop. The tray is an old school Munimade tray in the size large, and it's one of their color shift ones. I don't remember this filament or even if this colorway is one that they still offer, but it's got like pink with a little bit of yellow pastel to it, and it like goes into a blue gradient, and it's like all yellowish green on the bottom. Anyway, then in my single placer, I'm going to be using Not Your Mama's Mud. This is in the scent Tinseltown because I haven't swapped this out for a more updated scent. I guess it's January. You can still be wintry, I suppose. And then in my multi-placer, I'm going to be using this putty from Thay's Studios in the scent Snickerdoodle, and it's from their classic line. They do a lot of seasonal event themed putties too, but this is just their classic line one. So I am going to pull out my old wax and putty, and we'll load up fresh like I like to do in my WIP and Chats, and go ahead and get started. So hello, happy Monday is the day I'm recording this week. It's going to be going up on Tuesday, which is not my normal upload day for WIP and Chats, and I will explain why. I normally have my WIP and Chats going up bright and early Monday mornings to kick off the week, but this week I was out of town until today and went back and forth on whether or not I was going to film a WIP and Chat because I didn't know how tired I'd be when we got back, and I didn't know if my voice was going to cooperate. There's part of me that still wonders how long my voice is going to cooperate for. And sorry, I'm just going to load this off screen where I can get a more firm, flat surface. And I had my recording arm with me, but I just didn't have the energy, and my voice was in even worse shape last night, so I decided not to try to record while I was out of town. But when we got home at a really good time, and I thought, well, let me pop in a cough drop and just see. And so here we are. And I am not blowing smoke when I say that I really just look forward to doing these WIP and Chats every week. I really enjoy catching up with you guys and reading every single one of the comments that you leave and getting to interact with you a bit that way. And I know for me, for the creators that I follow, I always look forward to their WIP and Chats or their vlogs and getting to hear about life, and week to week see, okay, oh, what's changed? What's the update? What are the updates this week? This thing that you mentioned last week, how's it going this week? That kind of thing. I don't know if any of you guys are like that, but so I always look forward to it, and I really do try not to miss a week if I can help it. But let's talk about diamond painting stuff first. So I started on this kit a few days ago. I did travel with it, but only really worked on a couple of sections because partly being sick again, and just a lot of my downtime was spent more keeping up with Micah and just interacting with family and not necessarily sitting and diamond painting as much. But this has been a cute little project and a nice little breather. So I thought, I have a lot of kits on my list of kits I might want to work on that are bigger, but I knew that coming out of a bigger square drill kit that I didn't want to burn myself out by jumping immediately into another bigger square drill kit. And let me see if I can fix the focus while we get into this. Okay. So I thought, let me take a little breather. This is kind of my rule of thumb, is alternating drill shapes often helps me avoid burnout, as well as styles and color palettes. So this is what I decided to work on. I had a handful of different snack size round drill kits to choose from, and this ended up being the chosen one. And it's actually the exact reason that I bought this particular kit when it came out, was because I thought that is the perfect size for a breather in between big kits. It's really cute artwork, and certainly my color palette with the pretty pinks. And Munimate does a really nice quality kit. I like how they render their artwork, and just overall the quality is usually really good. I will say that for some of, and I'll let her know because I know she'd want to know, that for some of these lighter drill colors, I think if I can really show you. I don't know if that's really going to show up. It's more so in person, but like this is a color there's the most of in the whole canvas, but there's little specks most of the time visible enough that it jumps right out at you, like little dark specks on a bunch of these, and a lot of also subtle specks on a bunch of them too. And so I'm trying to pick around those because they bug me, and I'm like, if I notice them in the tray, I'm probably going to notice them on the canvas, especially when they're color blocked like this. And I don't know, I feel like if I'm working on a diamond painting and I'm spending the time to do it, I don't want to be putting down drills that are less than perfect if I can help it. This feels like an unusual problem. Like, this is not something I typically run into with Munimade, so that's kind of a bummer. I'm also running into a little bit of trouble with covering the symbols completely with these light color drills. There's a bunch like down here. I don't know if it's going to show really in camera. You can kind of see, but even when I'm trying to place them really centered and really like just right, it's difficult to get it centered perfectly to make sure that none of that symbol is peeking out around them. I think especially like there's this really pale peachy color, like this one down here has a capital H as the symbol, and I think maybe just that particular symbol stands out, like it's bigger enough that, as opposed to the one that I'm working on right now, is this lowercase n, and that's like, where is it? Like that's easier to cover up. The H takes up like more real estate and is harder to make sure I cover up completely. So I don't know, a couple things I'll send them for feedback. But again, this feels kind of unusual for my experience with Munimade, so I don't know. I'll let her know. I'm always trying to, if I run into issues like this, that I know in particular that like, oh, this shop I know is receptive to feedback, I know they'd want to know, I try to make sure I actually send that feedback over. Because I'm like, well, if it bothers me, then I'd imagine it might bother others. This just randomly came to mind because I was thinking of like, oh, feedback and stuff like that. Any of you that also use the Gems Flow app, did you notice that they pushed out an update over the weekend or like during the week last week? Oh my gosh, I was so excited to see an app update from them. GemsFlow hasn't pushed through an app update in like 3 years. And I honestly had thought that they had just decided to stop doing updates. So that makes me cautiously optimistic that maybe, like, potentially if they listen to like Diamond Painter feedback, maybe they'll continue to update it and make the app even more functional. That would be amazing. I have so many things that I would love for them to add. Like different lines, different like ways to sort and filter. I'm really curious to see if we're gonna see more app updates from them. GemSlow, by the way, in case you didn't know, it's a mobile app and it's on iOS and like the Google Play, like the Android app store. I don't know what it's called. I'm sorry. I've been on iPhone for like 10 years now. But it's a really handy and comprehensive app for tracking your diamond paintings. And I've been using it for over 5 years, and I literally had a nightmare once that I had a new phone and that my gems flow didn't transfer over. I'm not kidding when I say that I had a dream about this, but that I went to try to log in to my gems flow account and it wasn't like pulling over my info. And I just was like, I don't even know what to do now because I rely on it so heavily to track all of my diamond painting stuff. Diamond paintings that I actually own, diamond paintings that I've destashed or given away over the years, the ones that I've completed, all that kind of stuff. So I would be lost without my Gems Flow app. I've thought about trying to take kind of a quasi backup of it because there's not like a backup like export option, but I've thought about going through and try to take some screenshots just to have some kind of backup of that data in case the app were to just glitch and me to like lose my account. I would like quit diamond painting. Not really, but I would probably just give up on trying to track my diamond paintings in that way if I lost it. But how do you guys track your diamond painting collections if you have a method? I know there are some people that just kind of are like, I just know what I have and that's it. Some people use spreadsheets, like Google spreadsheets or other things like that. I don't know. I very much feel like I'm all in on Gems Flow in part because there's just so much data. I can't fathom trying to export or move it to any other system. It would be way too time consuming. As it is, I take forever to like update my Gems Flow. It's like once a month I'll go, shoot, I haven't updated my Gems Flow in a month. I need to go back through and add in any kits that I have gotten in or note which kits I've completed, which ones I've started, that kind of thing. Yeah, which speaking of, I do need to do that. I think I'm about a month behind. I don't think I've updated it since before Christmas. So I'll use this to be kind of accountable. By next week's WIP and Chat, I will have my Gems Flow up to date. Ask me about it if I don't say anything. So anyway, that was a really random tangent. I had my goals video for the year go up over the weekend. And after the kind of mental block I had hit over that, I was happy to actually pull that together and have it go up on Saturday. And I was a little nervous putting it up because I just thought, I hope that this sounds the way that I mean it to when I'm stepping outside of my kind of usual video types that I do a lot of. Like I do a lot of WIP and Chats, I do a lot of unboxings, reviews, that kind of thing. When I'm doing something that's a little bit different, especially when I'm showing my face and stuff, I can get a little flustered or I worry about how it's like if what I'm trying to communicate, if it's actually coming through or if I'm just too caught up in how it's not the usual kind of video that I do. I don't know. I don't feel as like comfortable or as like it comes to me as organically, but I've really, really appreciated the comments and the response that video has gotten from you guys. Actually, just in general, the feedback that you gave on last week's video, there were a lot of different things that I talked about, and I was really, really touched by all of the thoughtful and encouraging feedback that you guys gave. I talked about things from diamond painting, specific things, especially related to goals and ideas for the upcoming year. And I also talked about just sort of revisiting what I want to do with my career and life and stuff as I'm moving out of this phase of being a mom of little, like young children, like really young children, babies and toddlers. And I just was really touched by the very thoughtful and personal feedback that you guys gave on those kinds of things. So thank you so much for that first and foremost. It also really helped me with putting together my 2026 goals video and my bingo card. And I'm hopeful that I'm going to be able to make a dent in that bingo card. I hope I'm not in too much over my head. And I know I'm behind. I was doing so well with staying up on comments starting with the new year, but the past several days I fell behind just because I was like gearing up to do this kind of last minute out of town trip. Excuse me for hiccuping, and then actually being out of town. And so I fell behind on comment responses, but what was I saying? Oh, several of you asked for a link to the bingo card, and I need to go back and do some comment responses and include that. I think if I make a copy of it and make it as something that like you can also make a copy of and edit for yourself if you want, there's a way you can do it because it's just in Canva, the Canva app, and it can get weird when you share like a file and make it editable, because then people it's like if they don't make their own copy and they just start editing, then they end up editing the public file. I don't know. I haven't tried something like this in quite a while, so I'll have to play around with it. But I will try to do that for those of you that were interested. But if you want to make your own, Canva is free to use. There are paid features on it, and certain graphics and certain like colors and fonts are technically premium. But there's a whole lot on there that is completely free to use. And there's a ton of bingo card templates that are completely free that you can just use that as a starter template and then go in and fill in whatever spaces you want to. So Canva is both a mobile app and they have a website. So you can take a look whatever way works for you. It's Canva, Canva. It's actually the app that I use for all of my thumbnails and like even my intro and outro slides. That's all done in Canva. I definitely feel like a little bit of imposter syndrome sometimes when I'm putting together things like thumbnails, and I feel like I look at it and I go, this is giving very like graphic design is my passion kind of stereotype. Because I truly have no background in graphic design at all. I'm just like, it looks balanced. I like the aesthetic. I don't know. And then most of the time I go, it doesn't look quite right, but it's just going to have to be close enough. I do, I know I mentioned this before, but I do all of anything related to my channel, I'm doing really by myself. I do all of my editing. I do, my thumbnails. I do all of the admin and everything. The only time I've really had people come in to help is, I have some mods for my channel and for Facebook groups that I'm involved in hosting. And then I did have one person that helped Lindsay and I with the admin for Drills and Chills, which was, oh my gosh, definitely going to need that for upcoming events too, because it was a lifesaver for sure. Because admin, in a lot of ways, like keeping up with all of that is definitely not my forte, and I know it's a weakness of mine. It's something I'm always trying to do better at. But the brain fog is so real right now. I'm like, where was I going with this? How did I start this train of thought? Oh, I was talking about Canva and thumbnails and how I do it all myself for the most part. But yeah, I was just talking about bingo cards, the bingo card and Canva. You can use it there. Whew, this is the day of getting sidetracked really, really easily. So I hope you are along for the ride with me. So yes, 2026 goals and bingo card video is up. Better late than never, I hope. And I'm planning out, I already have my first tutorial / how-to video for this year filmed. I think that will go up this weekend, but I'm really going to try to get like 1 or 2 of those up a month. That may be overly ambitious, but this is a goal I'm going to try to aim high on. I really want to try to do more of these kinds of videos this year and make that a huge value of mine. Just kind of bringing it back around to the heart of like why I made this channel, which was to be helpful to people and make diamond painting feel like it's easier and more enjoyable to do, because I love it so much and want others to feel like they can have a really positive experience too and love it as much as I do if they want to. So yes, that is, and my brain is going. I've been taking notes in my mind, but I'm also going to take written notes. I'm going to go back through when I'm catching up on comments and take notes and make a list of different kinds of how-tos and tutorial videos you guys have been asking about when I've asked for feedback on these videos. So thank you again so much for sharing your thoughts. It really helps, and I take it all very, very seriously and very to heart. It doesn't mean I feel like I can necessarily do all of it. There's probably some things that I'll look at and I go, this is a great idea, but I don't know how to pull it together, if I'm the one to try to do this video, or maybe I'll try and just feel like I can't quite get it figured out. So, but I'm going to really try my darndest to get to as many of these ideas and requests as I can. But stay tuned. Like I said, they're probably going to be spaced out throughout the year and kind of going with as inspiration strikes me about different ideas. And hopefully my muse is in the mood to cooperate when it comes to putting those together. Okay, I see I just placed one with a bit of a speck. We're just going to pop that off because otherwise it's going to drive me nuts. Got it. I feel like if I notice a problematic diamond, I have to take it off, because all I'm going to think about is there it is. I placed something messy. I have to rip it off. So I will say I'm a little bit nervous. I've been feeling a little bit meh about diamond painting. And just recently, just like the past week or two, just the past week. And that makes me so nervous, because I feel like this is a hobby that has stuck for so much longer than almost any other hobby that I've tried. I've been a lifelong reader. I have been nearly a lifelong gamer. But when it comes to crafting hobbies, most of what I try doesn't stick for super long. It's like a couple of months, a few months at best. But diamond painting has been such a core interest of mine and my main hobby for so long that there is still a little bit of this fear of like, what if someday that love just goes away like the other stuff did? And I know there's this like, what if that's self-fulfilling prophecy to worry about that? But it hasn't ever really been a problem. It's like every once in a while I'll start to feel kind of burned out, and sometimes I'll just take a breather, work on different kinds of projects, kind of shift my focus a little bit if need be. And I don't know, I guess sometimes I do get to the beginning of the year and I'm coming off of the sprint that kind of is drills and chills through the holidays, and there is a little bit of maybe a letdown or like crash after all that maybe is just sort of part of my rhythm of diamond painting now, that it's like, well, that's just what happens when you keep super busy with stuff. But it always comes back, but I always get a little bit nervous. So I'm hoping that this is not like, I don't know. I don't think it's the beginning of the end, but I always get a little bit nervous when I start to feel like, oh, I'd rather reach for maybe some other crafts, or I would rather just scroll on my phone, or any number of other things. But I don't know. You can kind of just let it be and ride it out a little bit if that's the case. Like, don't force it. I'm a big advocate of just sort of follow what your mind is telling you that it wants to do. And if that involves taking a break from the craft, like, that's okay. Because forcing is probably just going to make it worse. But I don't think I'm that far gone. I think I'm just a little bit meh. It probably means I'll just make sure that my next project is something I'm super, super excited for. Like, really try to hone in on, like, a really good rainy day stash project, or like just scroll through my Gems Flow app and see what is really, really, really calling my name, and see if that does the trick. Fairy Tales and Folklore is around the corner, so I could start something that could lead into that. Kit-wise, I don't know 100% for sure what I want to work on for the event, except for I'm 90% sure I'm going to want to do a Chrysabug mythological character. Exactly which one is TBD. I'm just gonna see what I'm in the mood for when it's time to actually decide. But I've got a couple weeks. I don't have to decide now. But yeah, that'll be fun. I'm excited that that's coming up here real soon. And what else? Well, this weekend, like I said, I was out of town. I ended up doing a trip to Phoenix with the kids. And I'm pretty sure I mentioned this in my last video that I was just excited about figuring out when we were going to be going to Arizona. The long story short is that my parents are snowbirding there for 3 months this year. They're there January, February, and March. In past years, they've just done 2 months. And so having them within actual driving distance is such a treat. And so I think it was on Tuesday or Wednesday, I floated the idea to Adam because I just kind of couldn't get it off my brain. It went from like, oh, wouldn't that be fun? Haha, to, hey, actually, wouldn't that be fun? And so I brought it up to Adam and I said, hey, I know this is kind of crazy, but what do you think about the possibility of me taking the kids to Phoenix for the weekend? They have Monday off. They're wonderful little travelers. You could stay back with the pets so we don't have to worry about finding someone to watch them last minute. And, you can watch the house and stuff, and maybe that would be a chance for you to have a really productive weekend. Distraction free, work, job applications, stuff like that. And it could just be fun. It just sounded like a lot of fun. And not really much in the way of cost involved either, which was a huge bonus. So he kind of thought about it and was like, well, yeah, I don't see why not. And so I floated the idea to the kids, and they both were stoked. They were so excited. They were like, yeah, when are we going? I was like, well, Friday after school. And the thing is so I live in Southern California, and I live in Orange County, and a lot of people will live further out from Orange County and commute in for work. And so rush hour going from Orange County, like away from Orange County, LA, is usually really, really, really horrible. If you're local, you've probably heard of the Corona Crawl, and it's like that's the only way, like that is the route to get out of Southern California and go towards Phoenix, go towards Arizona. And so I knew what we were setting ourselves up for, and I thought it's a holiday weekend. Which, by the way, my mom gave me so much grief about this, and I'm shocked you guys didn't give me grief about this. Last week's WIP and Chat, I was like, yeah, it's a long weekend. It's like President's Day or something. Look, I know it's MLK weekend. What happens in my brain, not that this is necessarily an excuse, but I know the kids have off a handful of different Mondays from like mid-January to mid-February, And I'm so terrible with names and dates in particular. I cannot hold them in my head. And I just know that the mix of holidays that they get Mondays off for, they get like 2 off in February for different President's Day. Like one is like Lincoln's birthday and the other is Washington. It's like, anyway, it's weird. I think it's weird. I don't remember getting both of those off when I was growing up. I feel like it was just one, and then they have the January one for MLK weekend. So yes, anyway, they're going to have Monday off. It's the holiday weekend. And I knew that we were going to hit traffic going out because I thought, I know we're not going to be the only people with the idea to head out of town. And it's like, that's the way you go if you want to go to like Lake Tahoe or a lot of the other like lake areas. But then again, it's winter. Are people really going to the lakes? I don't know. But anyway, I had told the kids, here's the deal. You're going to get home from school and it's like, we're not even going to sit down. We're going to you guys are going to bathroom break and we're going to roll right out the door to get in the car so that we can beat traffic. And I had said, here's the goal, is that we are going to, the traffic is going to be stinky. It's going to not be fun, but we're going to pick up dinner if we can get to, this spot and get through as much of the traffic as possible. Then we'll get some dinner together, get out of the car. You guys will get kids' meals, which is a special treat. And then once we start driving again, the traffic should hopefully be better. And yeah, no, the traffic was rough getting out of Dodge, but then we stopped for dinner and then it was pretty much smooth sailing from there. And they were just the perfect little travelers. I had mapped out our stops ahead of time because I knew Adam wasn't going to be with me. I wasn't going to have someone I wasn't going to have him in the passenger seat to like, hey, can you look up the price of gas at these different spots and see where the next cheapest gas spot's going to be. Or there's a couple of stretches in there where there are no gas stations or food, and I wanted to just be able to plan accordingly. And it's like, if you can make it over the Arizona border, gas is $1 a gallon cheaper and stuff. So I planned out ahead of time, like, okay, we're going to do these stops. Of course, if the kids, like, if need an emergency potty break or if they're getting stir crazy and need to stop, we will. But otherwise, here's our 3 stops. Every hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours, basically, we're stopping and getting out of the car. So, we ended up doing that, and there was a tiny bit of squabbling once or twice, but honestly, they did so well. On the way back too, and we hit a very little traffic coming back and made such a good time coming back. But yeah, we rolled into Phoenix on Friday evening, and the kids, it was basically bedtime as soon as we got there. But they're an age where it's not like a big deal. If you're a mom, if you've had like a baby or a toddler, you know how sacred bedtime is and how big of a deal it can be. You have to plan everything around naps and bedtime and stuff. And if you're in that phase right now, just know it gets easier. Your kids will get more flexible. And oh my gosh, it was so nice. And we had a really nice visit with my parents. Unfortunately, I was sort of like dealing with and kind of on the cusp of like being sick. And as we're in the car on the drive there, Connor says, "Mommy nose is really runny." And I'm like, are you kidding me? And it's like a joke at this point that whenever we travel, someone's sick. My mom would joke about me when I was growing up that I had been to, like, wherever we went on family trips or vacations, I had visited an urgent care. So it's like I had visited an urgent care in half the states in the country as a child. So my kids inherited my immune system. Interestingly enough, I don't know that there's a ton of studies that have really been done on this yet, but there are, in fact, some legitimate scientific studies that have linked, like, what do they call it specifically? Like, I don't want to say it's like a lowered immune system, because I don't know if that's necessarily like the correct way to phrase it. But basically, often people that are neurodivergent, specifically autistic, are more likely to get sick. And I don't know, there's some interesting studies being done about like the gut and how it affects things in the brain and all that. Look at the static. Oh my gosh, I gotta get a dryer sheet. If I breathe in the tray and add a little moisture, will that help? Holy static, Batman. That whole first half hour we were talking, all the same color. All that background color. Yeah, where did I put those dryer sheets? Over there. They're flying everywhere. Oh no. Hold on a second. Oh, I gotta clean this up. Anyway, so Connor ended up bouncing back really fast, but Saturday ended up being kind of a wash and we didn't end up going anywhere for the most part. And just because Connor was kind of down and out. But my family can kind of be homebodies anyway, so we're just happy to spend time together, even if we're not like necessarily going places. But Sunday, thankfully, everyone was feeling better, and we went to the McCormick-Stillman Railroad Park, which is the railroad park we had taken the kids to when we went to Phoenix last year. And it was almost like as soon as we had, sorry, I should put a dryer sheet square in there. That's going to need more than one. That still helps. Anyway, we took the kids to it for the first time last year when we went to Phoenix, and pretty much from the time we left, they were like, when can we go back? And we were like, well, it's in Phoenix, and that's like 5.5 hours away. So next year, maybe. And that was one of the first things they asked about when I asked if they wanted to go to Phoenix for the weekend, is they're like, can we go to the McCormick-Stillman Railroad Park? And so Sunday we went, and they had a lot of fun. Connor his special interest is very specifically railroad crossings. Trains are cool too, but he just lives for all things railroad crossings. He will talk about the manufacturer of the bell and the signal and each little component and the year that it was manufactured, and he'll like look at the thing and immediately be able to identify like, oh, it's this kind of bell and this is more rare. They don't really make these anymore. And he's just a bottomless fount of knowledge when it comes to railroad crossings specifically. But there's not really like a railroad crossing museum. It's all like trains. But this place does happen to have a variety of different crossings that he can look at. And poor guy, he really wants to interact with them. Like there was one that they had out that he was like, it's not ringing, but I really wanted to see. He was like, I want to see if I can get a long stick and see if it's just like I don't remember what the name of it was, but like the thing that's inside of it that like knocks against it. Maybe that's not working. He really wanted to figure out what it was, and trying to explain to him a little bit like, well, that's not really something that we can do. The people that work here wouldn't really want us to. And he's like, well, why not? I can fix it. I can tell them if something's wrong. Very logical minded. And I said, well, we don't want to inadvertently break something. In retrospect, I kind of wish I would have been like, well, we can try to see if we can find someone that works here. Might be able to just at least talk to you a little bit more about it. But we didn't get the chance to do that this time. I'll try to keep that in mind maybe for next time. But yeah, so he was most interested in that. Micah, as soon as we got there, especially because it was someplace he recognized, he really just wanted to take off and run. And as soon as he started with it, I thought like two things. I thought, one, I'm so glad that I didn't take my parents up on their original offer, because I was feeling kind of sick on Saturday, and my mom had said, well, maybe your dad and I can just take the kids to the railroad park tomorrow. And I thought, that's really sweet. But also, I don't, like, Micah's too much of a wild card for that. And he was having a wild card kind of day. So it was a lot of just being able to, I needed to be able to talk through with him different things, give him some really specific boundaries. But also when I saw that he was really intent on running everywhere, that immediately started this kind of internal timer where I was like, okay, if he's being this active, that means that his leg and hip are probably going to start acting up at this point. And the story there is that he's had these ongoing flare-ups that we've seen a doctor about on and off for a few years about, and we suspect it's some inflammation related to when he had the C virus way back, from lockdown. That's our best guess, but we're actually, because he's been having more flare-ups recently, we're actually going to see an orthopedic, and I'm very anxious to kind of get some more information and see if we can figure out really what's going on here. It's not something that is clearing up over time, and we've kind of exhausted all of the kind of preliminary and basic levels of stuff. It's like, okay, we really need to talk to a specialist. So anyway, that's actually on the calendar. Finally, that was a whole lot of insurance hoops and all this stuff. But anyway, that's happening. But anyway, so just a lot of stuff was happening at this railroad park. And I was like, okay, we're maybe going to make it an hour and a half here tops. And then he's going to need to sit, and we're probably going to need to call it. And that's exactly what ended up happening. But the kids had a really great time, and it was a really nice time of year to go, because Phoenix in the summer is so hot. Like, you don't go outside after 10 a.m. kind of hot. But in January, it was like a high of 74 degrees Fahrenheit. It was beautiful. And we had a really nice time. The kids were at the train. We checked out the model train museum. Like, I really wanted to play on the playground. Connor checked out like the crossings and stuff. It was good. It was a really good trip. And my dad said something to me at one point that I just was really, it meant a lot to me to hear him say. I've always had seriously wonderfully supportive parents, but sometimes there's that sense of like, when I'm parenting my kids in front of them, I sometimes will feel just a tiny bit self-conscious, especially if my kids are being tough. At one point Micah needed to go and have some cool down time by himself in, one of the bedrooms, and he was having a really hard time with that. And so I was trying to work through that with him, and it wasn't super cute. But my dad at one point, towards the end of the weekend, he just said, like, Katie, you're doing a heck of a job with parenting these kiddos. And I just was like, oh, it just really meant a lot. Like, I didn't think he was just trying to make me feel better. I don't know. It meant a lot to me. So, it was a good weekend. And my mom and I did a little bit of diamond painting together. We stayed up a little late and chatted. And just, got some good family bonus time in. And then coming back today, we really hit very little traffic and ended up only needing to do 2 stops instead of 3, and got home by 6:30, which was earlier than I expected. And that meant we got plenty of time with Adam and the pets. Oh my gosh, Scout was going to explode with happiness over us being home. And Skip, of course, was thrilled. He was meowing up a storm at Connor at bedtime. And yeah, it was a good, I know I keep saying it, but it was good for my soul. It was a really good weekend. I said something to my therapist, in my just regular weekly therapy appointment on Thursday. I was like, yeah, so we're doing this trip, and kind of last minute. And I said, there's other things that have happened too, where honestly, just in spite of a lot of the discouraging things and like really hard things happening, like in personal life stuff and in the world and everything, I just said I feel like a little bit lighter right now. And I know that can change, but I'm just thankful for feeling a little bit brighter and lighter right now. And she just pointed out, I think you're finding these ways to create like memories with your kids, which that's just something I've talked a bit about with her. And I won't get too far into it, but just as it relates to, I don't know. Long story short, I've just wanted to try to do special things with the kids that I feel like they'll look back on fondly, the way that I look back fondly on things like family trips and stuff. And And also just finding ways to, I don't know, do little things for myself too. And I felt like she was kind of onto something there with that. And another example of this was I did end up going to that book signing on Wednesday after all. I did talk to my mom and she was like, yeah, no, the book, the pre-order hasn't shipped from Amazon Prime yet. And so, she ended up canceling that pre-order and grabbing one of the book signing tickets. And I was like, yay, thank you for the Christmas gift. And I went to this book signing. This was for, Jessica. I'm blanking on her last name, but she's more well known by her like TikTok and Facebook, Instagram, like all of those. Her name, which is Applesauce and ADHD, also known as the gal that does the aggressive tutorials. And so she had released a cookbook and happened to be doing a signing like half an hour from me. And I've never been to a book signing before. And I went and I definitely was like a little bit starstruck. And with the book signing, the way that it worked was that the book was, the signing was all incorporated into the price of like your ticket and stuff. And she did a half an hour Q&A. I did not have any questions to ask. I just listened. She did a half an hour Q&A and chatted a little bit. And she's just so incredibly sweet and just very cute about how excited that she is that she gets to just even do this. Like do these book signings and stuff and get to meet people and talk to people in person. And then you get in line to have your book actually signed. And while they tell you, like, please be cognizant of, like, there's, 150 people here to get their book signed. And so there's not really time for everybody to have, like, extensive conversations with her. But, of course, like, say hello, or if there's something you want to mention, of course, please do. And so it's like, I obviously didn't want to take a bunch of her time. And I didn't feel like I have anything really that insightful to say anyway. But when I went up and she was signing my book, and I just want to thank you for making, your videos and just sharing yourself with the world, because I just said, I don't know, I can relate with having young kids. And I just said, not to be cheesy, but like your videos and what you've shared make me feel like, okay, I can try cooking. I can figure out what it's like to cook with young kids and not be overwhelmed by it all. And she said something like really sweet in response to, and then I got a picture, and then I just went on about my day. So it was a lot of fun. And I just was really glad that I did that too. So I think she's still doing some book signings. If any of you are like, oh, I know who that is. If you go to her social media and look at like her link tree or something, I'm sure it'll take you to like her book signing schedule and stuff. She's been flying around the country and everything. So yeah, that was really fun to do. And I did like looking through her cookbook and trying to see like, ooh, what recipes do I maybe want to try first and stuff. So I will be sure to report back if I try out any of them and I'm like, ooh, this was a really good one, or, oh, maybe this one was a bust. And if you guys grab it, you'll have to let me know if there's any you try that you really love too. So yeah, it was I feel like a good week in a lot of ways. There were things that we were able to do and to make happen that meant a lot to me and just felt very uplifting. And then I'm trying to think of what else. Honestly, I'm kind of running out of steam. Oh, it's good. We're at 48 minutes anyway. So I'm going to work on maybe wrapping it up a couple minutes earlier because my voice is definitely, I feel like, on the verge of being like, yeah, no, we're really done. So as far as what I've been reading and watching and listening to, we put mostly Taylor Swift on for our drive on shuffle. And of course, skipping over the ones that were not little ears appropriate, which there are a handful of. And then Connor's really cute. He has this band that he likes that I think he discovered just from Adam putting on music, like different playlists and stuff in the car with different artists. And Connor really likes this band called The Struts. And so he had pulled up some of their music on his Amazon, like the Kids Fire tablet. and was playing some of their music in the car, which was really cute. And it was fun too. And so that's been my listening to. Oh, I skipped my reading and watching. I'm serious, you guys. The like kind of brain fog is, it comes and goes. Sometimes I feel perfectly clear headed, and then I'm like, wait, what? What was I saying? That was out of order. So that's my listening to. Reading. I have been kicking around trying to listen to the audiobooks for the Heated Rivalry series because the brain rot is continuing after watching that show. And I know that from what I have seen, that the show was mostly based on the second book in the series. And I know probably the diehards are going to say I should start with the first one. And I think the first one, the story is covered in one of the episodes. But yeah, I'm torn. So if any of you have done that where you've watched the show and then have gone on to do the books, let me know what reading order you've done. Or if you've read them first and think that there's a reading order I should stick to, feel free to sound off in the comments. And watching, well, we ended up putting on a TV station at my parents' at the place they're renting in Phoenix that was just playing like some Disney. I don't know. I was going to say classic Disney movies, but then I was like, Moana was one of them. And do we count Moana as classic Disney? And Kanto was one of them. Is that technically classic Disney? When I say classic Disney, for some reason that makes me think of like older, like 90s and older. But it's like, I don't know, Moana and Kanto, those are, I feel like, core Disney movies to me. Anyway, those were on, and I don't know, those movies hold up. Like those are good for adults to watch too. My kids still really enjoy them. They love the music from Encanto and Moana for that matter. Connor had gone through a phase where he was really obsessed with Moana when he was younger too, which was fun. We still, to this day, when we're trying to prompt our kids to say thank you, sometimes I'll just be like, what can I say except you're welcome? To like remind them to say thank you. Or sometimes just to remind them to say you're welcome, or to say I don't know. I live my life in singing bits of Disney songs. So that's what I was watching. And then some Shark Tank too. Shark Tank was on a different channel that they were doing like a marathon. And I feel like Shark Tank today, not to be all back in my day, but I feel like the Shark Tank of today is so different from the Shark Tank of like 10 years ago. I feel like when the show first started, it was really legit. Like they were finding and actually like pulling out these really, I feel like it was a little bit less staged. Now it feels like the whole thing is just completely staged, and people are like creating products just to be like bait for Shark Tank. And I don't know. It's lost a little bit of its luster for me, but it still brought back some of the nostalgia to watch some of those episodes. So yeah, that's my reading and watching and listening to this week. How about you guys? What's been on your lists? As far as what I have coming out for you videos wise this week, I will probably have an unboxing or two to share with you. And I might try to do a post review of that mystery kit that I finished. And hopefully this weekend we'll have the first of my how-to tutorials for the year to share with you. So stick around for that. And if you made it all the way to the end of this video, how about a balloon emoji in honor of the balloons that are in this parachutes? Technically they might be parachutes, but they look like balloons. They don't look like parachutes to me. So I'm going to go with a balloons emoji. And also subscribe if you made, especially if you made it all the way to the end of the video. You'll probably like it here. I do weekly WIP and Chats, usually without my voice sounding quite this unhinged. So if you still liked the vibes, please do come back for more WIP and Chats, or check out my WIP and Chat playlist if you want to see previous WIP and Chats and have some company while you're crafting. I also do unboxings and varieties from a variety of different unboxings and reviews from a variety of different companies, and other diamond painting related stuff like those how-tos and tutorials. So I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you for spending some time with me today. I really did enjoy catching up with you, and hope that you enjoyed getting some crafting done and catching up with me too. So thanks, friends. I hope you have a day and a week as wonderful as you are, and I will chat with you in the next one. Bye, guys.